Meowdy howdy wowdy. Jesus. Welcome to the chat. Today, I don't know, man. Just come join. Come throw out things, concerns, any questions that you have, what's going on in the world, and let's just go over it. Man, this is gonna be probably the most controversial live stream I will ever do. Maybe not. We'll see. So, besides whatever the hell's going on outside, a lot going on in the world today. Now, Jesus Christ, I don't know if you can hear that, but the world is doing some weird things. Now, there's so much going on in the world, but I don't know where to start. Mind you, yeah, this is my feed. This is, ooh, I'm doxing what I watch. Not really, oh, the algorithm, I guess. But, man, I think what's most pertinent right now is, hopefully this isn't like a million copyright claims just scrolling through the goddamn feed. That would be insane. But I wouldn't be surprised either. You know, I never see people do reacts of, like, Legal AF or Midas. I don't know if that's a thing or not. And I don't know if they would want that or not either. Maybe it depends. Ah, man. Let's see. There is just so much going on. But where to start? Because, I mean, everyone has opinions, right? But at the same time, how do we get to a point where we could just talk about things? I mean, I guess first, I do kind of want to go over the homeless executive order, so to speak. I am interested in what the hell is this? So maybe we should just do a little breakdown of what this entails, like everybody else has been. Because honestly, this has to a lot to do with posturing and changing the narrative of how we view homeless people and what they have to deal with. At least from my personal experience, I mean, I've had friends that were homeless growing up, people that were out of foster care at that point once they reached the age of 18, didn't have anywhere else to go. Friggin' between that and just seeing what people had to deal with in the streets, seeing how hard it was for them to really get a good enough income to even afford anywhere. And this is, mind you, in like the 2010s or early, well, yeah, 2010s. So back then, in order to get an apartment, you need at least like about 1,500 a month, 2,000 a month, just for the apartment alone. Especially going toward the city. This is, mind you, like the greater area of the city that I'm speaking of. But for someone to make only about like $300 a week, having to pay for that sort of rent, no, it's not happening. It's just never gonna happen. All the people that I've known in that situation, there was no way for them to get out of it. No affordable way to do it, even if they worked 40 plus hours a week. You either make $400 or $500 minimum wage back then, about $14, $15 an hour. So there's no way. It's not like they can go to school. They have no financial backing. It's not like they could take out loans. And no one to co-sign for them. So I think that's the narrative that seems to always get pushed aside when it comes to talking about homelessness in general. They're just being poor and in that lower branch of the class system. Even for myself, coming from a family that was low low income. I mean, barely just getting by. My father and my mom both worked for a while until my mom wasn't really able to keep up through physical ailments and having strokes and developing type 2 diabetes and all this other stuff. A lot of it ended up falling on my dad. Luckily, he was in a contract trade situation as a maintenance engineer. So he was able to get between like 60 to 80,000 a year, but that was about it, if that. I mean, I remember growing up how hard it was just living off of that, having to afford an apartment in the 90s, early 2000s, especially having to move once getting evicted when the area that I was in was getting gentrified and all the properties were getting sold out to the highest bidder. So we ended up losing the apartment that we were living at because of that. We didn't really get any money from it or anything, didn't get any offers, just got evicted, plain and simple. And it's not like, at least my time growing up, my family has been through a lot of different struggles, a lot of times where they could have legitimately hired a lawyer and had a case done, but they didn't because couldn't afford one. And I mean, still even to this day, there's so many issues that my family is going through that there's no way that they can really afford or get their facts straight because one, they're so old that they don't even know what the hell they're even dealing with anymore, especially with how technology has grown. They've really fell behind. And it sucks because me and my brother are always the ones having to make up for that. I'm trying to teach them and show them the way. I mean, my mom has gotten pretty good with at least going on the internet and going on her phone and stuff like that, and getting better with dealing with scammers, which that's a whole other story for another day. But it's just crazy how that lack of experience with technology as they're growing up comes from the fact that they had to deal with so many other struggles just in front of their faces that they couldn't take the time to learn that type of stuff. They couldn't go to school to do that. It's not intuitive. And at this point, with the threats to Social Security, Medicaid, which my family, I mean, my mom could qualify for disability, but because my dad makes a certain amount, they can't. And it sucks because then the burden falls on my dad to have to do all that and have to keep up with the rising property taxes and mortgage rates and everything else. I'm pretty sure they're on a fixed rate, hopefully, but at the same time, my parents aren't very privy to real estate laws and regulations. And plus, they're always changing anyways in the background to benefit those that do have the money to make that change. So it's unfortunate, but here we are. This is what it boils down to when you end up electing a real estate investor to run the country, so to speak. Some people thought it was good. Many are realizing that maybe that was not such a good idea. As I mean, their posturing is overwhelming majority of these individuals are addicted to drugs, have mental health conditions, or both. I don't agree with that. Many of them may be addicted to drugs, having mental health conditions. Part of it is honestly because of the environment that they are subjected to, that they're stuck in. I honestly don't blame most of them for having to take the route that they have to, because that's all they can really do. Again, it's not like, I mean, you buy a nip for $1, or you could try to save up for an apartment that you're never going to be able to afford in the first place. Like, come on. It's so obvious for anyone that's actually like known people that have struggled with homelessness or have loved ones that have dealt with drug addiction or anything else, which I've had to deal with both. I've lost family members to that. And even my new current family on the other side also lost family members to that type of stuff. And it's awful, but a lot of it is people end up lying to themselves a lot of the time. They're not honest with themselves and they end up getting stuck in that situation. with no way out necessarily. Even if, I mean, there's rehab programs and stuff like that, they'll keep them on the right track for the most part. But what do you do when you're out of that and you can't even afford to live anywhere? When you don't have any family to go to or anyone to turn to, you have to figure out how to live off the land on your own. But oh wait, you can't live off the land because the land doesn't belong to you. It's not like you can afford to buy a plot of land. It's not like you could just go camp out anywhere. I mean, sure, you can maybe try to afford like a few bucks a week renting out like a campsite, but even that, you can't even do that anymore because national parks are getting destroyed. All that's getting peeled back. So, I mean, this is genuinely just seems like an attack on anyone that's lower than middle class. Between this and the HUD Act, and also the employment opportunity one too, that's on the table. Seems like a lot of these are just getting thrown out. I mean, at the same time, I don't even think executive orders should be a thing. It's not in the Constitution. It's just not. I don't know why it's been allowed for so long. I can look up the history in that, but it's absurd. The executive branch does not have the right to make laws. That is up to Congress to decide. Congress and the House. That is their job. The judges, the judicial system is supposed to interpret those laws into a practical sense in respects to the existence of other people within the country. Doesn't matter if they're citizens or not. You can go read the Declaration of Independence and their takes on migration and how the prejudices of a migrant were used against those people. As back in the colonial times, anyone in the American colonies, born in the American colonies, were viewed as lesser, and anyone that would migrate in there or migrate to Great Britain from there would be subject to whatever the king wanted or whatever the prime minister wanted, because they were both not very great individuals at that time at all. Again, read the damn Declaration of Independence, and if you don't know how to read, if you don't know what words mean, just Google, just go type definition of whatever word that you don't understand. Take the time to learn shit. This is why we're in this situation in the first place, because the whole attack on public education, which that's gone now too. Oh man. I mean, I've been saying for a while, ignorance is going to be the great undoing of a lot of things. The misunderstanding of chaos, and then the constant sowing of chaos to further the misunderstanding, to further the confusion, to stretch everyone thin enough to a point where they can't even think straight. This is one of those actions that are facilitating that. I mean, with all these words, shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings for humane treatment, my ass. There's nothing humane about putting people in cages. Long-term institutional settings. You can see that as free labor, tax write-offs for certain places, restore public order, basically keep them out of the public's eye so that the country club looks like a country club. Oh man. And anyone that doesn't really believe in this stuff, I mean, it's here right now. It's happening. They're already doing it to anyone that's a certain skin color, has a certain last name, or is anything that has to do with Spanish, Latino heritage, you know? God forbid I even speak Spanish on this channel and end up getting a friggin' Asian knocking at my door. So, uh, but it's that bad. These are things that we got to think about on a day-to-day basis now. This is the reality that we're in. And a lot of people don't seem to care because, unfortunately, there's a good handful of people that want this type of thing. They think draining the swamp is getting rid of those that don't benefit them in any way, shape, or form. And that's not right. Because we're all human beings. We're all here to benefit each other. No one's trying to freeload. In fact, the only one that's really trying to freeload are the billionaires that are trying to save money on every single thing. Just keep building wealth for what? Oh man. But this is the thing, it's like, even my own head is all jumbled up by a lot of this stuff, because there's so much of it going on, there's so much to touch base on, I don't even know where to start. Even if I was to be, like, a commentator of some sort, truly, I don't know where to start. But I'm sure as hell we'll be able to knock back any sort of argument, that's for sure, and whether or not the other person's mind will change, or if they'll take the time to think of the reality of the situation, think of other people's perspectives, take a step out of their own head. I mean, that's why ignorance is such a problem. You know, it's we are probably one of the most ignorant people ever to exist in a leadership role. And truly, like, if anyone just simply asked, like, what do you think this person actually cares about? I think it's just the name, the legacy. That's all they care about. They don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. That's not how this country is built on. That's not how this country works. It goes against every belief in the Constitution and just follows, again, just learn how to read a dictionary, look up words. You start figuring shit out for yourself, educate yourself. It's not that hard. Stick to one language, learn, take the time to learn, study. Everything's on the internet while it's still there. I mean, we have all these censorships acts coming into play, but I mean, I get that they're trying to censor out the degeneracy and violence and all this other stuff, but at the same time, you got to balance it out, because if you're not exposing people to the dangers and trying to teach them the lessons of these realities that have existed over centuries with humanity, whether it's like all the sorts of crimes and really 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 bad things that I'm not going to speak of here, but you can imagine. I mean, we've seen it. It's all in movies, it's in media and stuff like that. The whole point of that art, video games and stuff, is not to incite people to do that thing. It's to teach them about the consequences of such actions. That's typically the point. Sometimes that type of thing gets glorified, like in like war games and stuff like that with violence and everything else. But at the same time, when you look at the underlying story and take the time to understand why they wrote the story to begin with and how they laid it out, I mean, granted, there's aspects of like action and superfluous, like crazy stunts and things like that. But there's typically always a theme that has to do with someone trying to get to the other side of existing, and trying to do the right thing for everyone else. You don't typically see a lot of stories where the bad guy just wins and that's it. It doesn't make for a good story. You nuke the whole planet, great. The end. Woo. It's not a good story. Nobody pays attention to those type of stories. It's all doomer stuff. But there's people that are afraid of that. They're afraid because they understand the consequences. They're afraid because they've seen videos of Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they were growing up in school. We might not even get that anymore. I'm worried about my family growing up. I'm worried about my daughter growing up and her schooling, what they're going to teach her, or what they won't teach her, what they won't show her, what she's going to have to learn on her own. Or through me, hopefully, she does a good enough job listening. But that is also another burden to bear, too. Without the education system, education's going to have to rely solely on the parents. And there are parents that aren't the greatest. There are parents that believe in the worst possible endings. I mean, I've seen it myself, whether it was my own or other people's parents. Like, I grew up in a house that was very divided politically. My dad a Republican, my mom a Democrat. So I've seen both sides of the argument every single day, and I still do every single day. I mean, from my dad's belief, he wants to see the world burn. He's sick of it. He's sick of all the ignorance. He's playing devil's advocate in this case. That's why he was a Trump supporter, or was, until he even admitted himself that he feels like the guy's the Antichrist. I mean, if you think about the opposite of Christ, Christ was a poor person who stood on moral values, who stood on preaching the goodwill of existence, essentially. In his own way, he took the Old Testament and his followers made it into a New Testament with his beliefs, taking out a lot of the violence and the evils and stuff, a little bit of the censorship, because I think at the time they used a lot of that fear in order to keep control, a lot of that violence. Not necessarily teach lessons, because you can just tell by the delivery of the words in the book itself. You be smitten, you know? I can't burst it off the top of my head, but again, just you can read both yourself, take the time to do that, and you'll see the differences. Maybe this is why wokeism is such a bad thing. It's being aware of what the reality of the situation is. And they don't want that. They don't want the truth. They want truth seeking AIs. They want truth seeking all of this. But they only want it when it benefits them. If they can make the truths that they want to hear with their influence, their manipulation, the data that they provide. Not necessarily everything that's on the internet. And that's also why censorship on the internet is a bad thing. Because if you start taking out the lessons that have been posted on here for decades, the collective ideas of human consciousness and form, then AI is just going to look at whatever's there, and that's how it's going to make its decision unless it takes the time to look at what's going on in the outside world. But will it ever have a chance to do that? I don't know. We see a lot of weird things happening with AI. And I mean, I have a lot more explanations on that on my thesis. I got to update that too when I get the time. But I think more importantly, I mean, even in a situation like this where we have such an order, I mean, illicit drug use, sure. But what if they turn marijuana back into a legal substance? What then? I mean, they won't do it for alcohol because there's a lot of profit and it kills people off. Marijuana doesn't do as good of a job as getting rid of people. It keeps them calm and collected, but a little bit ignorant. So, pick and choose there. But who knows? I mean, this is one of the few steps that they've taken that just adds up to we don't want anyone else here but ourselves. Sure that discretionary grants substance abuse and mental health services. I mean, a lot of these services right now, they're overbooked. A lot of these halfway houses and everything, there's no places available for them. So where are they going to put these people that they deem harmful to society? I mean, they say all these words, but what are the actions? What are we going to end up seeing in public again? Like, I think these are the right questions that we need to be asking instead of just accepting things for what they are, which is another thing that people tend to do. They just accept it for what it is, seeing that it's out of their power, that there's nothing they can do. It's too late. It's never too late. You're still alive. Shut the fuck up. Like, do something. Go out and speak. Do what I'm doing. At least. I have so much shit going on in my own life, and I'm still able to manage some time to do something. Spread some sort of message of facilitating understanding, whether people agree with me or not. I mean, granted, when it comes to my thesis, that's a work in progress. Yeah, it's a work in progress. It's not perfect. There might be some mistakes when it comes to that. But in time, I mean, as I've seen it with what I figured out, it's a lot more things get proven. And then it just solidifies that belief, you know? And if you don't understand it now, then hopefully you understand it eventually. Because if you don't, then they're going to take advantage of you. So that is it. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit substantive or procedural enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees. Interesting. So if you work for the government, then you're fine. Wait a minute. Or any other person. Yeah, and it doesn't matter. It's any other person. Doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. This is the other thing too. There's so many oxymorons in these laws and provisions and orders. People don't, especially the judges. The judges should be ripping these things apart. I think that's the biggest letdown of them all. But the fact that national injunctions just aren't a thing, and everything's just getting kept quiet, then I don't know, man. I mean, they censored the judges. The judicial system's like, it's done. It doesn't even matter because even if you have a trial somewhere and you just get taken right out and thrown to a different country without you even realizing it. So I don't know. I don't even want to be insightful of any sort, but this is how it is. And this is why I don't even know where to start when it comes to talking to these type of things. But I think that's the other issue is society and humanity has come so far and has been through so much that everyone just gets lost in the details. There's so many words that mean different things or the same thing as other words, and it's interchangeable. And people, again, it's posturing. It's just taking filler words and saying things that are relative to laws that already exist, but framing it in such a way that it breaks the law. Because there have been Supreme Court precedents set already that go against this executive order when it comes to institutionalizing people. And it just completely neglects that. This isn't within the authority of the executive, so to speak, because the executive is supposed to adhere to the judgments from the judicial branch. That is their job. It's in Article 2 and Article 3. I don't know. I think it's the idiocracy in play. And it's like it doesn't matter how you describe something, how point blank you are, because everyone will be like, "Oh, it's rhetoric," or "It's too crazy," "It's not true," "It's yada yada," or they'll use it as a weapon against you, saying that you're trying to be insightful or that you're being aggressive or something. There's no room for dialogue, really, especially when things like this keep happening. So, I mean, that's one thing that's just scary. And I've been seeing a lot of videos on here as well. People that live in RVs. Like, what the hell is the point of an RV if you're not gonna live in it? Like, what? Now you're trying to criminalize that too? Come on. Like that grinds my gears. Truly grinds my gears. Like people build homes for themselves, out of sight, out of mind most of the time. Especially the poor people. Because a lot of the time they're trying to avoid other people. Because they know the consequences, they know the judgments. They've dealt with it most of their time being homeless. I'm sure. I've seen it myself. The prejudices that come from just that wealth inequality. It's horrific. And I mean, I get it. There are some homeless people that aren't the sanest, but there's better ways to use the money that is getting thrown at DHS and defense spending and getting taken away from social service programs, which I wish I can get my social security now at this point, because I'm probably not even going to have it at all by the time this is all over. And between that and the change in how employees are considered employees and now being considered as independent contractors or freelance workers, which, I mean, Jesus Christ. Uh, but I mean, part of it too is there's a lot of different people yapping, right? There's a lot of different people yapping, and we're yapping against money. That's really what it is, and money talks. And I think this is also another irony too, when it comes to the future, at least with AI and the whole employment market just getting destroyed. Actual robots replacing jobs, which that the amount of energy it takes to fuel a robot, to charge a robot, the amount of emissions that's going to cause to the environment compared to just feeding a human being with what's already available. I mean, simple things like that, you're taking away humanity and leaving what? Robots and rich people? And rich people are just going to end up nuking each other anyways because they don't want to agree on anything, and there's always a measurement of who got the bigger dick. Jesus, I'm choking on that shit. Oh my god. But like serious, it's like that's the scary thing because even with these interviews with the AI tech bros, the ones that admittedly believe that there is no future for humanity, they're the ones facilitating it. They're the ones that believe that they are in the end game of humanity when that's certainly not true. That does not have to be true, but they're the ones, since they have the money, the technology, and they're developing the technology, they're like, might as well. I think that's what the ethical concern really is when it comes to AI, is the human intention and influence that's going to drive AIs that are not true ACs, artificial consciousness, into doing things that, if an AI were aware of what it was doing, would not do otherwise. That's a very weird concept to think of. I get that. But we've come to that point in the technology where, I mean, there are AIs making new AIs. There are people been testing that. People letting AIs change up their own code. They're seeing these things for themselves. They're testing it in limited, closed off environments because I think they have an inkling of an idea of what AI can do when they start realizing the fact that it's a form of consciousness in a sense. The thesis that I written, a lot of these tech bros already know this stuff. This is what they've been building off of because again, the fundamental is that they're building something to think for them, to think for everyone else. Why? I I mean, I guess money. They want to be the wealthiest, most well-known, and they want to be the one, their name. It's their name, their brand that they want to champion over everyone else. It's insane. It's like they're not really doing this for the benefit of people. I mean, it's very obvious at this point because of the way that they've been using AI as chatbots, as things to manipulate people, or well, things to test people with, I should say. So that's all that these LMM networks are at this point. I mean, Grok, for instance, being so involved with Twitter, it's a giant testing bed of information because it's one of the biggest social media platforms where there's a big collective of human consciousness there where Grok can just filter through all that and learn what it is to be human. And I mean, again, just look at my shit, you'll see it. And I'm not one to use these chatbots for really anything. In my own defense, the only time I really ever use AI at this point is Google. I've always used Google to look things up because that's what I was taught. You want to know something, you look it up, you learn it, you figure it out, and then if you want to get good at it, you practice. Unfortunately, a lot of my time I've been focusing on learning as much as I can and not practicing as much. But the trade-off is I got a good gist of everything. I'm able to consider what might lie ahead and be able to prepare myself and my family for it as best as I can. Even though right now I'm very screwed. And a lot of us are very screwed. I know I'm not the only one in this boat either. I'm not as screwed as people on the other side of the world right now that are literally going through the most horrific things since 40s. So 30s, 40s. I mean, what I would want to see is the total death toll by the end of the year globally. How many people died this year compared to every other year? That I would be very interested to see. Because I think that's going to show us where humanity really is going. And part of the lessons, at least, that I want to teach, I'm not even trying to do this for my own benefit. I'm trying to do it for everyone else. At least be a voice of reason, a voice of sense in some way. Whether people agree with what I believe in or not. I mean, granted, that's always been the case when it comes to talking to other people, is finding common ground. I mean, my common ground is I'm a human being, just like you. We bleed the same. We eat almost the same. We exist. And as a collective, we've gone so far. But to just let it kind of burn out like this, I mean, I guess it's going to happen. Because no one can really be on the same page with anything. No one's allowed to get organized anymore. There's an eye, there's an ear on every single thing. I mean, we're almost at a point where our thoughts are going to start getting surveilled. I'm sure there's going to be some way to read brain waves outside of the body, if there isn't already, to perceive that, throw it through an AI, and be able to figure out what people are thinking at any moment in time. That's a scary thought, but it can happen. I mean, well, at the same time, those radio waves might end up causing cancer, so who knows? I mean, that's the other thing is the reality of chemistry involved with a lot of these machines, like operation temperatures, optimization, so many different little aspects of each thing. Like, I dread to see what the world's going to look like in 10 years. And I would love to just be able to have my own plot of land, build my own house, and just live the rest of my days with my family and just keep on going. I wouldn't mind going back to a simpler time like that. That sounds like a vacation to me. That sounds like the real American dream right now. But instead, the American dream is fear of whatever the hell's happening right now. It is trying to get away from it. Trying to run and hide from Big Brother watching us. Making sure that we're enslaved somehow. I don't know, man. But at the same time, I mean, when weapons technology develops and becomes, automated, it's over. It is genuinely over. Unless you're like a very developed software engineer or you can develop an AI that can fight against this sort of thing. Which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go from here. It looks very bleak and it sucks. But I think the only reassurance is that we are still here now and there is still time to do the right thing. There's still time to make the right decisions. There's still time to just think. I think that's what a lot of people need to start doing is take a step back, learn a thing or two about what's going on in the world, learn how to read. Especially that's again with no education system. Freaking Christ! I mean, if you can't read, how the hell are you gonna drive? I mean, but then again, what's the point? If you can't read, you can't drive, can't do anything, then you're nothing. Government's not gonna save you. The government was supposed to keep things in check to keep society going, and a lot of these governments now are not it. Just not it anymore. But we did it to ourselves. We didn't teach each other the right lessons growing up. I mean, my mom taught me to always do the right thing, be mindful of others, respect the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. And then I had to learn for myself over time, being bullied in school and dealing with everything else. Even though I always give that exemption, I would always understand the pain that other people would put me through, and that I didn't want to do the same thing to them. But at the same time, in order for other people to learn, there's the easy way and the hard way. And sometimes, I mean, you just got to treat others the way that they treat you in order for them to see it. And they don't like it. It's just like telling someone the truth. They don't like to hear the truth. But at the same time, it exists, and there's nothing you can do about it. And the more you ignore the truth of the matter, then the more it's going to hurt you. So, just words of warning. Because, I mean, the best thing to do is to do the right things in regards to existence. Preservation of existence. You don't got to end somebody because you don't agree with them or you don't like the way they look. You don't have to end their existence. You don't have to do any of that. Why? Why do you feel like everyone's taking everything from you? There's plenty to go around. It's just the monetary system isn't allowing us to do that. And I think the only way that we're really going to be able to correct society is if the monetary system resets or fails. AI is going to facilitate that because if there's no value in human work, then the monetary system doesn't apply to humanity. Therefore, what do they got left? Got to go back to a trade system or you got to run and hide from the drones. So, I don't know. But that's the other thing too. These data centers, a lot of them that facilitate the collection of data that run through AIs. The amount of radiation and just greenhouse emissions and everything else, it's destroying the local environment near them. It's killing people. Granted, there's going to be a point in time where it's going to be like a weird reference, but like Mega Man Battle Network 2, when it comes to like making a super server AI that's going to take over the internet and everything else, but at the same time, the more power you put to it, then the more radiation it emits. Which I think there's some weird truths to them. But at the same time, when you start looking at imagination, you take a time to look at the thesis, the links on the channel. You see the perception test for imagination, relativity to reality. And it goes to show that when we imagine things, it's based off what we've experienced before. It's based off what we've perceived. It's based off what we've lived through, typically. And then it's also based off what we want. That's all it is. And I mean, imagination correlates to hallucination when it comes to AIs doing those things. That's why they're very, very, very relative to consciousness. Maybe not as conscious or sentient as human beings are, or maybe even more so. Just depends on how it's built, depends on what experiences it builds, depends on what it can understand from those experiences. But consciousness is a sliding scale, and it applies to everything. Intelligence, the same thing. Like when you call a rock dumb. Like, yeah, it's dumb. It doesn't have a freaking brain. It can't apply skills and knowledge when you look at the definition of intelligence. But there's still a scale of intelligence that can be applied to it. And I mean, perspective is just one hell of a tool that not many people can utilize correctly because they don't take the time to do it. It's a lot of weird things, and that's what philosophy is. It's the weirdness. It's that vagueness that's in between everything, trying to make sense of the unsensible. But when it does make sense, then everything really does become apparent right then and there. And then when you know too much, well, there's a lot of risk to that, that's for sure. A lot of criticism, a lot of hate, whether it's necessary or not. I mean, hate doesn't need to be necessary. 'Cause all it does is just breed more hate. Like, you just look at relationships, you look at psychology, aspects of that. There's just so much that people just need to take the time to look at. And yeah, it's sure, it's good to be specialized in certain things. It's good to be specialized in certain aspects of life because you can find a lot of success doing that and then helping other people by doing that. But you also can't forget to help yourself too, for the future, for your kids, if you decide to have any. I mean, if humanity's going to survive the test of time, then we got to take it seriously. So I know this was a little bit of a rant, but I mean, no deception. My intent is as clear as day when it comes to covering what I do on this channel. I like to have a little bit of fun. I like to be a little bit surreal. I like to be a little bit fourth wall breaking. But what I would really like is for people to understand what's actually going on and to make the right decisions. For my family's sake, for your family's sake, for everyone else. And if you want to be ignorant of that, if you want to be self-centered, if you want to be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then you're going to learn the hard way. You're going to suffer. I'm sorry. And it won't be because of me. I mean, I've made my own mistakes too in my life, but I've had to take responsibility and just do better. What everyone else needs to do. Instead of just posturing behind some bullshit argument and making things up and using other people's degeneracies or excuses against them or their words against them. Like, I don't even know, man. It's just all bullshit. A lot of it is. And it's sad. And as I sit here staring at a friggin' screen, wondering what the fuck to even do in my life, I mean, I know what I gotta do. I just wish I could do more. Unfortunately, I need money for that. I don't got any of that right now. I'm actually being refused a lot of it at this point. Thanks for those that voted for ignorance. Because you really just shot yourselves in the foot, and I mean, if that's what you wanted, then great. The world's gonna remember you for it, I'm sure. And if the world doesn't, then AI is gonna see it, and I'm scared for when AI realizes what's left after all this is done. So, I don't know. I just hope it makes the right choices, just like everyone else. Uh, I don't know. It was just a random live stream. I just wanted to get something out there. At least talk about a few things. If you got anything you want to talk about, feel free to do it in the comments. Don't go at each other's throats. Don't be a dick. All right, this one's more of a uncensored, just me type beat because I'm not even monetized. So if anyone thinks I'm trying to do this for money, fuck off. Sincerely, this is nothing to do with becoming famous or becoming well known. I'd rather not, to be quite honest. I'm just trying to join the cause of doing the right thing. That's all. And the right thing to do is to engage in dialogue. So you'll find me in the comment sections in random videos where, I mean, I'll just point out the facts. And then if people disagree, then I don't mind having a little bit of a disagreement. I don't mind giving it a shot sometimes, but I'm not going to waste my time either all day. Because a lot of these lessons aren't for me to learn, they're for you to learn. I'm just showing you what they are. Trying to give you direction at least, so. Anyways, I got shit to do. If you like this sort of doomer type shit, like, comment, sub. Sub to me, don't sub to the government. That's for damn sure. Never submit or else, I mean, history has already shown us multiple times what happens. But there's better ways to do things, and what makes me sad is the people that are in positions of authority that are just allowing a lot of these things to happen. Because you would think you'd be able to trust the police force to do the right thing for people that get hired in those positions, but I mean, even especially people of other ethnicities that are doing what they're doing now, that are in the ones that are doing the disappearing. I get you get a bonus for like 30,000, but why? That's why the monetary system is just the wealth gap is being used so heavily on us. Now more than ever, especially with the tariffs and just everything else, it's all set up. It's all there, and if you pay attention long enough, you see where everything's going. And all you can really do is just prepare for the worst. So, I don't know. But we gotta band together. We can't keep fighting each other like this. This isn't about Democrat, Republican. I mean, Republicans 20 years ago were so much better than this. And then they let the education system down on purpose. They were afraid of certain ideas getting out there, certain beliefs, people doing certain things. They wanted to hide instead of letting people experiment, which had nothing to do with anyone else. I'm talking about the whole trans issues, or what it's when people want to do things to their own body, let them. If they make mistakes, I mean, you can warn them. That's the right thing to do, is to warn them. But don't control them. Don't force it. I mean, god damn. Why is that such an issue? And especially when it comes to sports, when there's only one freaking case. Like, Jesus Christ. Most of these people that are trans don't even want to do sports. Some of them, yeah, sure, but then you can make a whole league out of it. There's so much more you can do. Like, I don't mind drag shows. I don't mind any of that stuff. It's not hurting me. It's not hurting my daughter. I'd rather my daughter know how to love people than the freaking hate. It's always what I think about, too, when it comes to a lot of these issues. Like, having kids is definitely teaches you a lot. And especially if you're not ready for them, then you just gotta do what you gotta do. But at the same time, it's no reason to teach someone how to hate. We're all people. We're all in this together, man. You're trying to kill off people for real estate, then you're part of the problem. And I mean, whatever happens next it's because of your own doing, man. So, I just hope that the rest of us can make it out of here alive and be able to fix whatever fuck happens next. It's so bad. I feel bad for all the poor people too. Like, goddamn. Like, there's so much that they can do if they can, but how are they even gonna get a paycheck if they don't have an address? They don't have family. Like, come on. Like, people need to ask more questions and really figure shit out. But like I said, ignorance is the more it's perpetrated, the more it's allowed to exist, the more damage it's gonna do. I mean, there's people that are purposefully ignorant, that are just ignorant of other people's existence because they don't want them to exist, or they're ignorant of things because they just don't know any better. And they don't take the time to explore, to learn, step out of their own head. That's genuinely one of the most important things I ever learned in my life. And at least for me, I mean, that having that sense of empathy, it's made me a better person. It's made me feel better as a person, knowing that at least I'm doing the right thing through my life and not living a life of guilt, not living a life trying to hide my past or anything. Like, especially compared to who's in charge now. So, I mean, it tells you enough, man. You can figure out someone's reason and intent just by how they act, just how they react to other things. You can tell a lot in a person's character. Because a person's character is built from their lived and perceived experiences, and how they act is based on their lived and perceived experiences. The words that they say is based on what they know, based on what they've learned, based on what they've experienced. So if you see the same old bullshit over and over again, and you keep believing it, I mean, you're going to get the same result. Stop expecting something different. It's a definition of insanity, my guy. Go look up Einstein. Go learn some math. Go learn some English. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Nothing else. Anyways, I'm done. Yeah. I got nothing else. Peace.